Hi, Taylor T. Carlson here, and as you know, I bought plenty of movies during the Criterion Collection sale at Barnes & Noble. One of the ones I got was this movie, which just came out on Criterion not too terribly long ago. This is The Flight of the Phoenix, directed by Robert Aldrich and starring the likes of Richard Attenborough, James Stewart, George Kennedy, and several others. An ensemble cast movie about a pilot and his crew stranded out in the desert, struggling to survive, ultimately deciding the best way to do it is to build a new airplane from the wreckage of their old one. Criterion always manages to put out very good reissues of classic films, and I'm certainly glad to see that this is one of the latest movies to get their treatment. Right back there, obviously, you got all your credits, description of the film, bonus features, legalese. This was originally released by 20th Century Fox back in 1965, but the credits on the packaging obviously are amended to say 20th Century Studios, which is what the company now owned by Disney is known as. Now we open this up, we've got our disc right here. If I take that off, in the background you just sort of have that desert landscape like where the film is set. And on this side, one of the fun little extras, we actually get a punch-out Phoenix airplane. I love when they do little things like this. Then there's an insert here. Criterion usually has some kind of booklet or insert. In this case, it's just sort of a fold open thing. It's got a lengthy essay. Not really sure why they did it fold out instead of a booklet. Then you got all your credits, cast and crew, and all that. I've also got an older DVD release of the film as well. This was a bare bones disc, but like for years and years, this was the only means I really had to watch the movie, and I think it's that way for a lot of moviegoers as well. Which is, again, plenty more reason I'm glad Criterion got the rights to release it as a Blu-ray disc, remastered. Again, the Flight of the Phoenix revolves around an oil crew, and their flying boxcar airplane ends up crashing in the desert, so they have to struggle to stay alive. And of course, it's not long before things start going wrong due to all kinds of threats that you could imagine. Ultimately, one of the men on board, who's a bit of an airplane designer, decides that they have enough pieces functional from their old airplane that they can use those to build a new airplane that they can use to escape to safety. But will there be casualties along the way, or will everyone end up getting out alive? The Flight of the Phoenix, I will admit, I don't think this film is a masterpiece. It is a little bit on the overlong side. The cast is too large, and it would have benefited from a smaller cast and more editing. I won't deny that for 1 second. But I would say the movie is something of a minor classic. James Stewart is great in any movie. I don't care what you're watching. Even if the movie itself's not great, he usually manages to be a standout highlight as far as that sort of thing goes. And then co-starring, you've also got the likes of Richard Attenborough. Attenborough would leave the world of acting behind and go into directing, probably most famously directing the film Gandhi, but he went back to acting in the 90s to play the role of Dr. John Hammond in the first 2 Jurassic Park films. Other members of the cast include George Kennedy, who did everything from Cool Hand Luke to the Naked Gun movies. Unfortunately, he's kind of cast into the background here and doesn't really get a whole lot to do. Also in the cast, you have Ernest Borgnine. I mean, what wasn't that guy in back in the day? He just passed away a few years ago, sadly, but I mean, he even managed to stay relevant for a newer generation of people by voicing the character Mermaid Man on SpongeBob SquarePants. So you have a huge, diverse cast here. Admittedly, a lot of them don't really get as much to do as I'd like, and a lot of them do tend to fade into the background, with, of course, the performances from Stewart, Attenborough, and maybe 1 or 2 others being the real highlights of the film. It is a beautifully shot movie, and sadly, famed aviation man Paul Nance lost his life in an accident filming the film. But the end results look very nice. Again, I do think this movie would have benefited from a smaller cast and some tighter editing, but there is no denying that the movie does, for the most part, accomplish what it sets out to, even if the titular flight only takes place for about 5 minutes and at the very end of the film. Criterion has once again done a very good job giving us an excellent looking picture here. Picture quality's solid. I've read some reviews online that say the color timing's been changed and it has more of a cooler palette. I did watch the older DVD as well, just to sort of get a comparison there. And I won't deny that this release does look a little on the cooler side, but honestly, that didn't really affect my enjoyment of the film much. I thought it was a very good-looking transfer with no major damage or anything. You do have a few soft frames here and there, but that's just inherent due to the source material. Special features are fairly limited, but what we get is nice. We have the original theatrical trailer, in addition to a conversation between Walter Hill and a Robert Aldrich biographer, and then there's a documentary on James Stewart and the time that he spent in the military. He actually was a military pilot, having left Hollywood behind for a few years, eventually returning to replete his acting career, of course. Overall, it's a solid package for a solid film, and I don't think fans of it will be disappointed. Are you a fan of The Flight of the Phoenix? Did you pick up this new release from Criterion? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, remember to subscribe to this channel for more content, because I'm always posting new videos. And make sure you give this one a like if you found it helpful. I'm Taylor T. Carlson. See you next time.